What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. So week one is officially in the rearview mirror, and boy, what a weekend it was. As we're accustomed to, it was a little bananas. You have a lot of teams figuring out what is going to work, and more often so, what isn't going to work throughout the course of the season, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't any less entertaining. We had 16 games this weekend, so there's definitely a lot to talk about, a lot of games to talk about, a lot of teams to talk about. But before we get into that, just again, a little housekeeping to take care of again. Did get a mic, like I said I would in the previous video. I was not happy with the quality of the mic on the webcam, so I figured getting an external mic would definitely be the way to go. Try to cut down on that echo as much as I can, and as you can see, still playing around with the setup a little bit, trying to find something to find something that looks good. So see how this goes in editing, and how I like it. And again, any and all feedback is appreciated in the comments. I would love to see any recommendations or what anyone would like to see. So again, any and all feedback is appreciated. But that's all out of the way. Let's get into these games. All right, so up first, the Thursday night opener. The Eagles unveiled their banner against the Cowboys and got a successful win, 24-21. Oh boy, what a game it was. What a I don't even know what the best word to use here would be. Insane, maybe unhinged would be a right word, because my God. We have the Eagles losing their fullback on the opening kickoff before a play is even snapped, and then while he's being tended to, again, keep in mind that a play has not been run yet. Jalen Carter spits at Dak Prescott and gets ejected from the game. The best defensive player in this game is ejected before a play even happens. And after that was out of the way, it was pretty chippy throughout the whole game. To be expected, though, some division rivals trying to make a statement against one another in the first game of the season. And like a lot of week one games, it was pretty sloppy at times. And the first half was way more explosive than I and a lot of people thought it was going to be. We had the fireworks coming. We had them coming early, and then we had the exact opposite in the second half. There was next to nothing going on after halftime. Which that leads us to talking about the Eagles. Their offense completely disappeared in the second half, but I feel like some of that could be attributed to the delay, maybe messed up their rhythm a little bit, kind of gave them a second halftime of sorts. I think it lasted, an hour and a half? So I can definitely attribute some of that to that factor, some of it also to, again, it being week one. I can see myself saying that a lot throughout the course of the video. I may even put a counter if I feel like it, if I'm able to keep track of it. And really some losses on the D line showed, but again, I feel like that for this game has a bit of an asterisk next to it because Jalen Carter didn't play. And it's not like they could plan for it. He got ejected before the first play even happened. But what I'm not going to put an asterisk on is some of the losses starting to show in the secondary. Calling out Adoree Jackson specifically, he had an awful game. And really, some of those losses in the secondary really reared their ugly head. Again, it is only week one, but they did not look stellar. So overall for the Eagles, it was a little bit of an underwhelming performance, but it is week one. I'm not going to judge them too much on somewhat sloppy performance in a bit of an odd game for their first game. Shifting over to Dallas, they had a surprisingly effective run game that took me by surprise in that first half. As a Broncos fan, I saw the ugly end to Javonte Williams' tenure in Denver, so just want to make it clear that I am very happy to see him succeed, but I definitely was surprised to see him as effective as he was. He looked a lot more like rookie Javonte Williams than he did 2024 Javonte Williams. And really, this Dallas team did a good job of hanging around with the Eagles. On paper, the Eagles are a vastly better team, and they gave them a run for their money. They hung around there and gave them quite a scare. But as per usual, the Cowboys could not get out of their own way, which is why we're talking about the 0-1 Dallas Cowboys right now. CeeDee Lamb had some crucial drops, which I don't think that sentence has ever been said, ever. It was shocking to see how he performed in crunch time. So overall with Dallas, I have no idea where they're going from here. This could be an indicator that they're going to be a solid team, that they can hang around with teams like the Eagles, teams like the Ravens, like the Bills, and they can maybe sneak into the wild card. But this could also be an indicator that the Cowboys aren't going to get out of their own damn way this year, and it's going to be yet another 6-7 win season. And something I note that I kind of forgot to do in the housekeeping, and I'm just kind of too lazy to go back there and start over the Cowboys-Eagles game segment. Basically, the structure of these weekly recap videos is I'm going to do all the primetime games. We had a lot in week one to get through. Maybe 2 or 3 games in the early or late window, just depending on how the week goes. And then the Broncos game, because that's the game we're going to have the most insight on, and the team that I'm going to have the most insight on as the season goes along. So, I mean, ideally, I would talk about every game, but considering kind of the time that I have and the fact that, just for example, like the Bengals Browns game this week, like nothing happened. There's really not a lot to talk about. I feel like doing a handful of games, anywhere between 5 and 7, 8 games, should provide enough content each week and enough to talk about each week. All right, with that out of the way, let's get back into it. All right, Friday night, Chiefs Chargers in Brazil. Boy, what a fun game to watch this was. And I feel like the Chargers definitely needed this win more than the Chiefs did, and boy, did they get it. This was such an awesome and fun game to watch. Now, examining the Chargers specifically, I feel like all of us can say that they took everyone by surprise with their pass-heavy attack, especially that Kansas City defense. I mean, they had no answers for Justin Herbert and the Chargers receivers all night. And something to consider with the Chargers going with this surprising and out-of-character pass-heavy attack is they have their next few opponents, which are both division games. They have them guessing. They have no idea if it's going to be the Chargers of old that they're going to go back to next week or if this is the new Chargers. We have no idea until the Chargers play their next few games. As for the defense, overall, it played fine. I mean, you held Patrick Mahomes to 21 points, which I feel like anytime you do that, you can pretty much hang your hat on. But, I mean, they're bad plays. They're busted coverages. Their lack of getting pressure at times, it was bad. Like, the play that comes to mind is, I believe it was Marquise Brown just getting completely wide open in the third quarter. Like, no one within a country mile of him. And I feel like that could be those inconsistencies that I was worried about coming up. Again, only could. It is week one, so I'm not going to fully say that this defense is going to be inconsistent all year, and this is an indicator that they're going to be highs of highs and lows of lows, so nothing like that. It is only week one, but just something to keep an eye on. But like I said earlier, this was a much-needed win for the Chargers. If the Chargers had all this offseason hype after a great season last year and all this build-up into week one and primetime national television, and they still lost to the Chiefs, that would have been rough. So Chargers definitely got a much-needed win for them here. As for Kansas City, overall, they also played a very good game. This was one of those games that unfortunately one team had to lose, but two mistakes really cost them the game, which is a little uncharacteristic for the dynasty that we've come to know that finds ways to win. I mean, this was their first loss in a one-score game in God knows how long. And I kind of touched on it when I talked about the Chargers, but the secondary got shredded. I mean, Quentin Johnson made them look silly. Keenan Allen looked like his prime back in 2014. I mean, they just had no answer all night. So I'm by no means writing the Chiefs off at all, but I will say Philly is definitely a tall task to avoid starting 0-2. Not saying that they're not going to win, because that's about as 50-50 of a game that I can imagine. But that is a tall test for anyone, let alone the Chiefs. All right, moving into Sunday in the 1 o'clock window, we had the Colts absolutely boat race the Dolphins. I mean, this is one of the most surprising blowouts that I can remember in some time. I mean, this was a thorough ass beating. I guess we'll start with the Colts because I honestly have less to say about the Colts. This is the best the Colts offense has looked since Andrew Luck. I mean, Daniel Jones was that good on Sunday. And this is about as good as a team performance one can have, let alone in week one. This is a dream week one for the Colts. But that is what it is. It is week one. So I really don't think this game is a foregone conclusion of what the Colts are going to be this year. It's encouraging, I guess, depending on how you want to look at it. If you're a Colts fan, it's encouraging because I did pick them to win 3 games. So it's surprising, I can say. But again, week one is not an indicator of how good or bad your football team is going to be. Look up the 2013 Houston Texans for more information. And then Miami. Oh boy, Miami. As one of the biggest Dolphins haters on the planet this season, even I couldn't have predicted this. If you would have told me that the Dolphins were going to lose this game, I'd be slightly surprised, but not like appalled. Like I wasn't saying there was no way the Dolphins were going to lose this game, but I would have been appalled if you told me how bad it was. I mean, this is genuinely the worst the Dolphins have ever looked under the McDaniel staff. I mean, I'm at a loss for words what I just watched. I mean, Tua turned the ball over was in full effect this game. The secondary proved me exactly right. I mean, they were awful. And that vaunted pass rush, yeah, non-existent. Nothing. So there's a very dark cloud over Miami right now. And if they don't beat the Patriots in week 2, a team that is historically bad in Miami, think there's going to be a lot of uncomfortable conversations that are going to start happening. Moving into the 4 o'clock window, the Packers pretty thoroughly dismantled the Lions, and this was another surprising blowout. I really had this game circled on my calendar because I was really excited to watch it, and it disappointed because the Packers were thoroughly the better team whistle to whistle. And it answered a lot more questions about the Packers, and it gave a lot more about the Lions. And we'll start with the Packers, and man, what a statement win for the Packers. I mean, the defending 1 seed, the defending 15-win Lions came into your house and you pushed them around whistle to whistle. You thoroughly beat them. And this makeshift secondary that I was worried about in my prediction, it looked damn good. I mean, the Lions could not get anything going pretty much until garbage time. And I feel like the aspect that people aren't talking about enough is that Parsons, by his standards, was not that big of a factor, and the Packers still thoroughly dominated the Lions. It is week 1. I feel like a broken record, but it is week 1. But if that's an indicator of what the Packers are going to be this year, they are going to be a scary team to look out for. As for the Lions, this was a team that looked lost. They looked like a team that had no idea what hit them when the opening kickoff happened. And I think it's fair to start asking at this point just how big of an impact Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn had on this team. I mean, they couldn't move the ball, and they got pretty thoroughly beat by the Jordan Love-led Packers offense. So I feel like asking those questions is definitely justified at this point, but it is week 1. Maybe they were just a little rusty. Who knows? Time will tell. We'll have to see how the Lions go from here. And moving into our second game of the late window, we had the Titans and the Broncos, and this was a pretty sluggish and sloppy football game, but I would put it as a pretty textbook week 1 game for both teams. For Denver, I mean, this is a bit of a frustrating struggle. The Titans are not a good football team. I don't think I'm hurting many feelings by saying that, but they only beat them by 8, and I feel like that was maybe a little disappointing. Not the performance we were expecting to see coming out of the offseason, but the defense was definitely as advertised. Again, I get that the Titans are bad, but I feel like that's a good performance that they put up against any offense. And then the offense was frustratingly bipolar was the word that I used here. They would show flashes that made them such an effective offense moving the ball last year, but then they would have some stinkers of not blocking Jeffrey Simmons, literally the only player worth blocking on the Titans D-line, and Bo Nix did not have a good game. He really put up some throws that he really should not have. But I'm really not concerned about him. I mean, he had a bad start last year, so I really have faith that he can turn it around in due time. As for Tennessee, I feel like my assessment on the Titans looks pretty spot on. Ward definitely passed the eye test on Sunday. His supporting cast did not. They sucked. And the discipline issues, glaring. I mean, I think they had more penalty yards than total yards. Even if it's in the same ballpark, that's a problem. And that definitely reflects on the coaching, who apparently doesn't even know what a catch is. That's kind of where the Titans are at this point. And moving into Sunday Night Football, by far the game of the week with the Ravens and the Bills. I mean, not only the game of the week, this is going to be hard to top for the game of the year. This heavyweight battle was as advertised. This game was awesome. Again, a game that unfortunately one team had to lose. For Baltimore, it's yet another chapter in their painful second half collapses. It's like it's feeling routine at this point. I want to play devil's advocate here. An aspect I don't see a lot of people talking about is that this comeback probably doesn't happen with that very out-of-character Derrick Henry fumble. I mean, the guy never fumbles, and that's what jumpstarts the rally, which leads me to believe that maybe the overreactions are being blown a little bit out of proportion. As for Buffalo, before I start praising them, they cannot play like that. all year. If they play like that in any game or in the playoffs, they are not going to win the Super Bowl as they're aspiring to do. That is just going down by 15 with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That is not going to get it done. But moving up to the positives, it does show how valuable having a quarterback like Josh Allen is. I mean, he willed his team to victory when all hope looked lost. But back into another concern I have here is that run defense is something to watch going forward, because it was not good. I memean, I get it's Derrick Henry, but still, they could not tackle, and they got pushed around by that O-line whenever the Ravens ran the ball. And yeah, it just was not pleased with how the Bills' run defense performed on Sunday night. And lastly, Monday Night Football, Vikings and Bears, the debut of J.J. McCarthy. And boy, this was definitely a tale of two halves. It's like I watched two entirely different football games in each half. Not only that, I want to actually double back on that. This was a tale of two games, but the first game was played in the first three quarters, and the second game was played in the fourth quarter. And it was a sloppy game, but it was a fun one to watch in the fourth quarter. For Minnesota, I think this is the exact kind of start McCarthy needed to his career. Nothing really flashy, some growing pains, some yips. That pick six trying to force it to Jefferson was a little rough, but in that fourth quarter, kind of getting the first win under his belt again is okay. I can do this moment. I feel like that's exactly what McCarthy needed in his first start, and he got it. And that's going to go a long way towards his development, both in the early season and throughout the whole course of the season. And as for the defense, it looked a little iffy at first, but definitely returned to that form that we saw from last season in the fourth quarter. So no real concerns there for the Minnesota defense. As for Chicago, it's the same old Bears is what I want to say. But again, it is week one, so I won't say that yet, but it does look like the same old Bears. Again, it is week one, but I really question if this offense can work. Can they work through these growing pains, or was the Ben Johnson offense successful because Detroit had a very talented roster and a very talented O-line to really drive that engine? Who knows? Time will tell. And looking ahead to week two, I've listed here some games to watch and look out for. Again, listed all the primetime games and maybe game or two I've got my eyes on, and of course, the Broncos game. So Thursday Night Football, we got the 1-0 Commanders at the 1-0 Green Bay Packers. And Washington's coming in off a good but not great week one by their standards, but again, something to build on going forward. And it's going to be interesting to see if the Packers can keep this thing rolling against another quality opponent. In the 1 o'clock window, we've got the 1-0 Buffalo Bills at the 0-1 New York Jets, and I feel like this is the game to watch because this is going to be a true indicator of what kind of team the Jets have this year. I mean, they really hung in there with the Steelers to put 32 up on the Steelers, but week one is weird, and we see a lot of times that teams perform like that in week one, and they end up sucking or performing really well, the opposite of whatever they showed in week one. So I feel like going up against the basically who's run the AFC East the past couple years is going to be an indicator of what kind of team the Jets have this year. And in the 4 o'clock window, the Denver Broncos, the 1-0 Denver Broncos, take on the 1-0 Indianapolis Colts. And obviously, I think the thing that a lot of people are going to be watching is to see if week one was a fluke or if Daniel Jones is really getting this Baker Mayfield arc going. Is he really the answer in Indy? I think week two is going to go a long way in showing if that is the case or if that isn't the case. And it's going to be interesting to see if Bo Nix can bounce back against the team that picked him off 3 times last year. I can speak to that personally. I was at that game last year, and during the first half and really the first little bit of the third quarter, it was rough. I mean, Nix didn't look good. He threw the 3 picks, but completely different player in the fourth quarter. Put it behind him and ended up leading the Broncos to a very important win. That's besides the point. It's just very interesting to see if he can kind of rebound in the same context against the same team and a little bit of a different scenario. Then in the 4 o'clock window, we've got the big one next week. We've got the 1-0 Eagles traveling to Arrowhead to take on the 0-1 Chiefs. I mean, this is obviously the rematch of the Super Bowl last year, and it's going to be a tough test to avoid starting 0-2 for Kansas City. Again, that's not a testament to Kansas City. That's just a tough test for anyone to avoid starting 0-2, let alone the Chiefs. So, very interesting game to watch. I think it'll be a very good game to watch. And on Sunday night, we've got the 0-1 Falcons traveling to Minnesota to take on the 1-0 Vikings. We've got McCarthy's first home start in prime time, And I think it's going to be a very fun matchup of young QBs to watch. So definitely looking forward to that one. And then Monday night, got a doubleheader. I actually got a couple of these this year, so pretty excited to watch those. First up, it's going to be at 8 o'clock Eastern. It's going to be the 1-0 Buccaneers at the 0-1 Texans. And this Texans offense really needs to get it going. If I'm not mistaken, they were the only team last week that did not score a touchdown. So they really need to pick it up. They really need to start, giving CJ Stroud a little bit of help. And it definitely starts with the O-line. Yeah, no, they're putrid on Sunday. So they definitely got to get it going and get into a rhythm and start, putting up points, because that's what wins games, believe it or not. And another thing of note is that this Texans defense versus the Bucs offense is going to be a very fun matchup to watch. So definitely looking forward to that game. And last up, Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern, we got the 1-0 Chargers traveling to Las Vegas to take on the 1-0 Raiders. Nothing super special about this game. It's just a pretty classic early season divisional matchups. Only thing of note I really put is that this is the second of 3 straight divisional matchups to open the season up for the Chargers. Obviously, you had the Chiefs last week, Raiders this week, and then they have the Broncos at home in week 3. But that is it for week 1. As always, I would love to read any thoughts, opinions, both on the games themselves, maybe something I had to say. Would definitely love to hear it. But until then, enjoy week 2, and I will see you in the next one.